Hello everyone, my name is Anand. I work as a technical architect in a startup called Rupilog Financial Services. And today I'll be giving a talk on progressive web apps. Just show of hands, like anyone who has already worked on progressive web apps before or even heard of it. Okay. Okay. So everyone is comfortable with promises, JavaScript promises. So everyone understands promises, right? Okay. So the goal of the talk is to give you enough so that you feel that okay, this is something we should definitely try in our next project or the current project. Okay, and I hope I will fulfill my goal today. Just show of hands, like how many of you prefer native or hybrid apps versus web apps? Like how many prefer native apps? If you have a native app and a view in a web app, which one would you prefer? Huh? Why so?
You can also use in the laptop.
No, I'm talking about a mobile phone.
Native. I don't have to install it.
I still prefer web because
Okay, if you have a Twitter, so which one would you prefer? Twitter native or Twitter web app? App, right? So why do we prefer using a native app than a web app?
It is more lightweight and configured for the devices.
Okay. Anything else?
Users native functional required better experience.
Okay. What else?
Access to the devices on the
Okay. Say suppose it's a very simple application. It doesn't require much of device features and all.
accessibility. You can easily access the.
Okay. One is like you can easily use it, right? It's always there for you. If you just click on an icon, the app opens up, right? It's not audible. Okay. Hello. Explain. Yeah. So one is so I would term that as discoverable, right? So it is very easy to discover the app and open the app. Anything else? So if you are sitting on a flight and if you open Twitter, what happens? You can still go through your tweets, right? Although you may not see the latest ones, but still you can see whatever was loaded. So which means it works offline, right? And third thing is probably it opens very fast. If the reason is because all your static assets, whatever you're using in your app, is there locally stored in your mobile phone, right? There is no network call involved to actually fetch that data. So it's easy to open the app, it is fast, and it works even offline, right? So probably these are the three important reasons why someone would prefer using a native app versus a web app, right? So what if we could actually make web apps as engaging as native apps? What if we could make it as discoverable? What if we could make it work offline? And what if we could make it run fast? Okay, so this is what we'll be learning today, and PWA helps us build web apps that are as engaging as native apps. Okay, so what is PWA? It stands for Progressive Web Apps. Okay, so it's a set of technologies and techniques that we use in our web applications that makes the web app feel as if it is a native app. Okay, so first we can install it on a home screen. Secondly, it will load fast. It will work even offline. It will also have the capability of push notifications. So push notifications, everyone is aware, right? So if Rahul sends out a tweet, then we all get a tweet in our phones, right? So even we can build that something similar in a web app. Okay, and say suppose like I'm sitting on a flight and if I tweet something, probably when I'm online, so that tweet would get synced to the Twitter servers. So I could even build something like that in a web application. Okay, so we'll be seeing demos on how we would be achieving this, what are the technologies, techniques that are being used to achieve this functionality in a standard web applications. Now whatever I'd be showing you is not only applicable for Vue, you can use this techniques and technology in any web applications. Okay, it can be a simple JavaScript application. You can use jQuery, React, Angular, anything. Okay, so it is all web technologies that we would be using. So the reason why it is called progressive is you add these features one by one in your application. Okay, so say for example I just want offline, so I'll use only the offline features. Okay, if I just want the app to be installable, I will just use it. Or if I want to use all the features, I can add it incrementally. Like in the demo that we'll be seeing is I'd be adding features incrementally. Okay, so as Vue, PWAs are also progressive. So Vue also is a progressive JavaScript library, right? So just like Vue, PWA applications are also progressive. So there are a lot of companies who are already building applications using PWA. So these are the list of popular companies that we see in our daily lives. So if you take example of Twitter, so Twitter also has a PWA. I'm not sure of the URL, but if you actually use that PWA, you will not feel a difference whether you're actually using a native Twitter application or you're using a web application. It is almost similar. Okay, you should definitely try that out. Apart from that, Flipkart also has a very nice PWA application which works beautifully offline as well. So there are basically three building blocks for any PWA applications. I'm not covering the other points. There are a few more points, but these are the three main important building blocks for that PWA application. Okay, so first is your application manifest. So using an application manifest, we tell the browser about our application. Okay, what is the icons that we are going to use? What is the name of the application? What would be the background color of our applications? Whether I want the application to be opened in a portrait mode or a landscape mode, whether I want the URL to be shown or not. So such properties are there. We would be seeing that. So it is the application manifest which is responsible for this. Okay. Then we have service workers. I'll be covering service workers in details. So, but using service workers, we achieve this following. So first is caching, background sync, and push notification. Okay, so using service workers, we can achieve all this functionality. And obviously, third important thing is your application needs to be responsive so that it can get rendered correctly in your mobile applications. Okay, sorry, mobile devices. So the goal today is we'll have a standard Vue application, and then first we'll make it installable. Second, we'll make it work offline. Okay, and also we will try to sync request whenever we go offline. Okay, so this is our goal today. So let's have a look at the application. It's a very simple Vue application. So this is my home page where internally so if I just load this page, so on the load of the page, what I'm doing is I'm calling a backend service, okay, which is returning me the list of talks. Okay, so this is a typical scenario where we are fetching the data from the server. Okay, next what we have is we can also register for a talk. So say for example, if I type Rahul, so internally what we are doing is we are calling a post and we are sending the data to the server. Okay, if you have noticed, I've put a delay of 2 seconds in my server so that we can simulate this slow service as a offline service. Okay, so that's why there was a slight delay here. So we could persist the data, and now we can see the persisted data coming in the list. Okay, it's a simple application. So we'll convert this application to a PWA application. Okay. So first we'll start with the application manifest. Okay. So what is an application manifest? It's a single JSON file, okay, which gives some metadata about our application to the browser. Okay, we'll see what are the metadatas. So typical would be what is the name, what is the icon, what is the background color, orientation, etc. and etc. So let's add a manifest file and see what happens. So this is how a manifest file looks like. Okay, so I'll just go through the properties quickly. So I have a short name, okay, the full name of the applications, what are the icons that are being used. So these icons will be responsible for showing the icon in your device. Okay, so now you can, in this particular section, what you can do is you can give lot many sizes of the icons. So what the browser will do is, based on the device, it will try to use the best icon. Okay, we can specify what is the start URL of our application. So in this case it is root context, but had it been so, if your application has some kind of context and if you want to further even have a different HTML name, so you could possibly give the details here. Okay, then you have a background color, display, orientation, and the theme color. So theme color is something which we will see on the top of our application. Okay, so once I have created this file, I can name this file anything. So right now I have named it as manifest.json. Once I create this file, we need to go to our index.html and provide that file to the header. Okay, so you can use it as manifest and the name of the file. So let's see, after adding this file, what actually happens. So if I go to my DevTools and click on manifest, right now the browser is not showing anything, right? So if I just refresh this, okay, so the browser has detected this manifest file, okay, and it has read our data and it is showing what it actually understands. Okay, so now let's open a mobile device and see what actually happens. Now, whenever we visit a typical PWA application, the browser would prompt us to add this particular application in the home screen. Okay. Now, there are certain rules which the browser initially goes through before it actually recommends us to add this application in the home screen. Okay. So first thing is the application needs to run in HTTPS. Okay. Right now we are not running it in HTTPS. That's why it's not asking. Secondly, it needs a service worker as well. Okay, so right now we don't have a service worker, that's why we are not getting that prompt. And also there is some kind of engagement factor which the browser would see. That means at least say 10 to 20 seconds whether the user is actually using the app, then only it would prompt. But it all depends on the browser statistics, or like how it's going to decide to show the add to home screen. Okay, so what we will do is we will manually add it to the home screen by going to the settings and add to home screen. Now you can see the browser has detected our icon, okay, as well as it has detected the short name. So if we click on add and probably close this browser, now you can see this app is available in the home screen. Okay, so the reason why you're seeing this Chrome icon here is, again, I told you about those rules, right? So if you satisfy those rules, you'd not actually see the Chrome icon as well. So now if I open this, so you can see it is opening like an app, right? So there is no URLs, okay? And if I have like multiple apps, it is behaving like an app, okay? So just by adding one manifest file, our application feels like an app, right? Still we are not there. So this application is not well supported in all the browsers. Okay, so whenever you are adding this, just be mindful that it would work probably nicely in Chrome, whereas Firefox, your iOS, Opera, still they are working on this. Okay, so if you're using Chrome, then it would work very nicely. So next we'll talk on service workers. Okay, so service worker is a JavaScript file which runs in the background, right? Most, I think, if you have done some kind of front end, you might have used web workers as well, right? So something similar to web workers. So you have service workers. So it's a JavaScript file which runs in the background, and all it does is listens to events. Okay, so we'll cover what kind of events it listens to. Okay. Another important thing is it would run in a separate thread. So your main event loop and this particular thread would be separate. Okay, so your event loop would not get tangled with whatever code you are writing here. Okay. Another important property of a service worker is it cannot access the DOM. Just like a web worker, we can't access the DOM. So even for service worker, you can't access the DOM. Another important property is it will work only if you're running the application in localhost for your development, or if you're putting it in production, it has to be HTTPS. Okay. Otherwise, the service worker will not get installed in your browser. So install and active are two important life cycles. Okay. So there will be always a confusion between what is install and what is active. So we will be covering that part as well. Okay. Also, the service worker acts as a proxy whenever you make any network request. Okay, so whenever the browser is making a network request to the server, it will act as a proxy. So if we have a proxy, that means we can do a lot of things, right? So that is where we can do our caching. Okay. So service worker is well supported in most of the modern browsers, including Chrome, Firefox, and recently iOS Safari also has supported this. So if you are using service worker, you can be sure that most of the used browsers will have this support. So let's add a service worker. We will listen to the events. We will cache the application. We will even cache the service data and use background syncs. Okay, so we'll take it step by step. So what I've done here is I've just created a file called service worker. There is no code inside. Okay, still this is a valid service worker file. And in our index.html, what we are doing is we are going to register this service worker with the browser. Okay, so first what we check is whether that service worker functionality is available in the browser. If yes, then register this. Once the registration process is successful, then we are going to print service worker is registered successfully. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. So you can see prior to registering a service worker, we didn't have anything, right? So the browser detected it's going to register a service worker. It loaded that service worker and activated that service worker. Okay, and if you go to the console, we can see the service worker has been registered. Okay, so at least we have a service worker now in our application. Now we'll see three important events in a service worker. Okay, so just like your event handler code that you had written vanilla JavaScript, right? It is something similar to that. So self is an object which is provided to you. So self means the service worker. In the service worker, we'll add an event called install. So whenever this event is fired, what is the code that I need to run? Okay. Similarly, when the service worker is activated, what is the code I need to run? And this important event is fetch. Okay. So fetch means whenever there is any kind of network activity that is happening in the browser, this event would be called. Okay. So one thing to remember here is any XHR request that you make, that is a AJAX request, this will not be this will not actually fire the fetch event. Okay, if you're going to use any libraries like Axios or even raw XHR request, this will not get caught here. Okay, so you need to use the new fetch APIs to do anything with the server. So then only you will be getting the events here. Okay. So if I show you the all talks component, so I'm using this fetch API. Okay, so such events will only get caught there. Any resource that you give in your links will be again available in the fetch event, or any kind of JavaScript that you load will also be available in the fetch event. So any JavaScript, images, anything that you provide in your link tags will be caught there. Okay, not your XHR request. So that is just something which you have to be mindful about. So what we did here is we are listening to the install event, active event, and the fetch event. Okay, so let's run this and see what happens. So we already have a service worker running. So when I click refresh, okay, you can see now the previous service worker is still running. Okay, it is not activated. Okay, and the new service worker is installed but not activated. Okay, so if you see the console, I'm only getting the log as install. It is still not activated. That means whatever code you have written will not be executed. Okay, so If I close the browser and reopen it again, then that service worker is going to get activated. Okay, but for development, that would be cumbersome, right? So to avoid that, you can either click on skip waiting, or you can choose this particular option saying update on reload. So whenever you refresh the browser, what the browser will do is it will discard the previous service worker and automatically install the new one. Okay. So right now, if you see, we have service worker as installed. So now if I click on skip waiting, the activate event would get triggered. Okay, so you can see now the service worker is activated. Now we also had the fetch event in the new service worker, right? So that means if I refresh the page now, it should catch all the network requests that this application was making. So you can see these are the different network requests that it caught. Okay, so this is a good place to do our caching, right? So since we know a network request is being made, so this is the place where we will do our caching. Okay, so now although I have added a service worker, but if I go offline and load my application, still this application doesn't work offline. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to load all the static assets, and we are going to cache those static assets so that the application shell actually works. Okay, so in our install event, what we are doing is we have written this block of code. Okay, so in this install event, what we are going to do is we are going to open the cache object. Okay, so this cache object is something again provided by a browser. Okay, and we are going to use the cache API. So I'm not going to go into the details of the cache API. So but just understand that it is a simple key value store where the value would be the actual response of your server. Okay, so what we are doing here is as soon as the service worker is installed, we are going to cache all our static resources. Okay, so let's see this in action. So if I go to my cache, click on static, this is the name of the cache. Okay, and these are all the cache entries. So this cache API, what it does is internally it will even call your service for you. Okay, and the response would automatically get cached. So it is not something like you fetch the data and then you put it to the cache. So cache API actually works that way. Okay, if you want, automatically it will do the network request for you as well whenever you are trying to add a resource to the cache. So now we have our static resources in the cache, but if we go offline, still our application won't work. Right, still I get this no internet page. Now, where can we add this code? We can add the code in our fetch event, saying that first, before making the network call, I will check whether that asset is there in the cache or not. If it is found in the cache, then I'll return it immediately, else I'll do a network call. Okay. So this is the block of code that we have written. Okay, so what we are doing is we are going to respond this fetch event if an entry is found in the cache. If it is not found in the cache, I'm going to carry on with the network request. Okay, so by doing this, let's see what happens. So I'll make sure the latest service worker is installed. Okay, check our cache, everything is there. Now let's go offline and see at least the application is loading up. Probably the data may not be there, but at least the shell should be there. Okay, so you can see we have gone offline. Okay, this particular service call has failed, but still the application is there, right? If I go to the register, still I can open up a page. I'm not getting some kind of error. Okay, but if I try to add something, what happens is I'm getting a error saying that the fetch call has actually failed. Okay, so let's see how we can improve this. First, we need to make sure some data is there in this particular page, as well as whenever we are trying to register, we should be able to register. Okay, so now continuing to the fetch event, what we did is just ignore this particular part. Okay, just focus on this part. So we are going to create another cache called dynamic cache, that is for your service data. Okay, so again we'll use the same approach. Okay, we will first make the network call. Once we get the response, we would be caching that response, so that next time when we make that network call, if the data is available in the cache, we would return it. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind is in the previous example we had used this cache.add, right? So automatically the response was getting added to the cache. But when we are using this particular cache.put, okay, and if you're directly handling the response, you need to make sure that you're cloning the response. Okay, otherwise what is going to happen is your response would get consumed and it would not be available later on. So whenever you do this, so just make sure you clone it. Okay, so let's see what happens when we add this piece of code. Oh, I think we went offline. Sorry. Why did this fail? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if I come to my cache, yeah. So you can see I have another cache now called dynamic cache, and I'm caching this particular response here. So now if we go offline, so after going offline also, we are still able to see the data. Okay. So now let's see how we are handling this particular commit code, right? We are going to post some data to the server, but still we are offline. So if you see the register talk component, what we are doing here is we are calling the service, okay? And if the service is successful, then we do whatever we are supposed to do. But if the service fails, okay, what we are doing is we are putting the request to the local storage, okay, so that whenever the application comes online, we can sync that particular request back to the server. Okay, so this is what we are doing. So let's see whether that works or not. Okay, and we also gave a message: there is no internet connection. Your data would be synced as and when the network is there. Okay, so this is the message that we gave to our user as well. So now let's see the cache. Okay, so this is the request that got failed. Okay, so failed request, and this is the data. Okay, so as soon as we go online, this data should get synced. Now, how it's going to get synced? Again, we're going to listen to an event. Okay, so what is that event? If we go to a service worker, so the event here is sync. Okay, so whenever we go online, the browser is going to fire a sync event. Okay, and whatever code we write in that sync event is going to get executed. So what we are doing here is I'm just going to get the data from the IndexedDB, and I'm just going to send the data to the server. Okay, so let's see if this works or not. Okay, so you saw syncing event fired, syncing talks. So as soon as I went online, the data is now sent to the server. Okay, so let's see if I clear the cache. So I've cleared everything. I don't have anything in the cache. And if I load this application, you should see 4 entries here. Okay, so you can see 4 entries. So we made our application work offline. Okay, so whatever I've shown you is very simple. You can build much complex use cases based on your needs. Okay. So what you can do is you can even read more about this. So there are different types of caching strategies like network first or cache first. Okay, so there are different caching strategies based on your requirements. Like for example, the talks that we saw, what was happening was it was always returning it from the cache. It was not actually going to the server always. If it was found in the cache, it would directly return, but that is not something we desire, right? So the idea is first go to the server. If the server fails, then return from the cache. So such kind of things you can do. Okay, you can use a very nice library from Google. It's called Workbox. Okay, you don't have to write a lot of boilerplate code that we have written. Okay, it provides a very nice abstraction on the service workers. Another one is a tool again provided by Google. It's called Lighthouse. So using Lighthouse, you can actually test out your application and see how much compliant it is. Okay, so and it gives you a lot of recommendations. Another thing which I didn't show out here was push notification. Again, push notification is another event in a service worker. So whenever we fire a push notification, that event would get fired. And if you want to use it with Vue, Vue has a very nice CLI for building PWA applications. Okay, whatever we did, at least from the app cache cell part, that is provided by default for you. You don't even have to write a single piece of code. Okay. So let's review what we have done. So we added a application manifest. Okay, manifest was used to make the application installable. Second, we learned about service workers. So service workers, we achieved caching, offline support, background sync, and also it is used for your push notification. Okay, so this is the talk. So any questions that you have?
Can you have multiple start URLs? Like a native app can expose multiple.
As far as I know, you can have only one start URL.
How does it work with HTTP caching in terms of cache control?
No, that is something different. HTTP caching is something that you provide as part of your response headers. Okay, so that cache and the one which we are doing is, they are two different things.
So how do you make sure that, let's say I'm caching something,
Yeah.
they expect HTTP caching that's
So HTTP caching won't work here. So it doesn't make any sense in PWAs. HTTP caching would work well if you have a regular application and you're caching a static JavaScript, CSS, files, where I don't have to make a network request. Right? Again, it has a time to live, and that is maintained by the browser internally. Okay, this is something which we are coding and doing it. So there's a difference.
So you said that only Fetch API will work.
Yes.
Axios won't work.
No, Axios. I think Axios is using XHR. I don't think Axios would work, if I'm not wrong. So any Ajax request that you use will not trigger that fetch event. So I told you, like, fetch API or any JavaScript that you load, any images, CSS, or anything that you provide in your link tags. So that only will trigger a fetch event.
Change from Axios to Fetch.
Yeah.
Instead of going.
Yeah, so I told you, if we are using a service worker and if you're running the application in HTTPS, the browser would automatically prompt the user to install it. We don't have to manually go and click on add to home. Since we didn't have HTTPS and other things, that's why it didn't ask us.
can we package a Pumsio app as an app that you install in the Play Store?
Then that would be something Cordova and all those things, but
I'm saying that just by giving URL connected an app from URL.
I don't think we can do that. I'm not sure.
There's something, I'm not sure, but there's something where you can package PWA as a purpose.
So the idea is if someone wants simple web app, just make website and say that.
Yeah, and put it on Play Store.
Put it on Play Store.
Yeah, there is something like that.
Okay, I'm not sure about that. Yeah.
And when we install the PWA, when it is open, making the notification,
Sorry, I didn't understand.
taking all the notifications in section.
So the notification when you open a PWA from homepage on screen, so you always get a notification that open from that and URL and all that.
So like it's open in
Open and room like open.
I didn't face anything like this. I'm not sure. Like, probably we can see offline. Just show me what you mean. I didn't understand fully.
I think you can break and now discuss like
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.